Guys, I want to show you 3 ridiculous college football catches that we saw this weekend, and you're going to tell us which one was the best. Okay, so let's start with Kyron Hudson of USC last night. He actually made 2 unreal catches. Look at this. Heather described it as improbable. I described it as impossible. Going up with one hand in between 2 defenders. Joey Galloway, you were a receiver. You know these things. Now, he then made, the same player, Kyron Hudson, made another unbelievable catch, and this one actually winds up winning the game at the end. This is with 20 seconds left. Another great one-handed catch, and then they tacked on the targeting. He holds on despite taking the helmet-to-helmet contact, and that winds up setting up the game-winning touchdown. So 2 great catches by Kyron Hudson. But then, to me, the catch of the weekend was this. Robert Carter Jr., that's an interception. They always say that guys play defense, Marcus, because they can't catch. How would you describe? Come on, Joey, how are you describing this play?
That last one looks like it's for Instagram. Like he just decided to say, hey, I'm going to take my shot. I'm just going to take my shot. If I miss this, I miss it. But if I make this catch for Instagram, roll over, stand up, that looks like he planned that out, Spears.
Come on, Marcus.
Yeah, buddy, that is freaky athleticism, Joey. You know about that. Joey probably got some catches in the Rolodex like that. But this is a hell of a play. Gee, but unfortunately, I'm a really defer to Joey, but I think the one by USC wide receiver, the first one, was the most difficult one. This was the prettiest one.
So that's the second one by Kyron Hudson there. The first one, Cindy, is the one where he's in traffic. This one here, Joey.
Yeah, this one is absolutely the most difficult one with guys around him, and he brings that back in. Boy, but that DB, whoo, spin around, whoo,
I'm with you.
Golly.
That might be the most difficult one.
Get a pinky on that thing?
Yeah, for sure.
The interception, though, to me was, I'm with you. That looked like something that they just did for Instagram. That's a great description. Okay, week 1 is behind us, although we do have one good game tonight, Florida State, Boston College. But Heather, here we go. What was your biggest takeaway, or at least one of the big ones, from this weekend?
Penn State looked legit in a critical win at West Virginia. James Franklin told me this summer he wanted to get more explosive plays. Drew Aller looked fantastic. 2 touchdowns over 40 yards. ESPN Analytics gives them at least a 70% chance to reach the college football playoff.
70% chance. That was a tough one for the Fighting McAfees in Morgantown. Joey, what was your big takeaway from week 1?
Cam Ward might finally be the quarterback to get Miami over the hump. They've always had talent. We thought they were a good football team. They couldn't find a way to win. Now Cam Ward comes in, playmaking quarterback. He has an attitude to him. What I would love to see is him throw the ball with 2 feet on the ground in a balanced situation, because these kind of throws will get you in trouble eventually when you play better teams. But for right now, Miami looks really good with Cam Ward.
Better teams, that's a little shot there at Florida, which I know you didn't mean that way, but it certainly comes out that way. Paul Finebaum, what was your biggest takeaway?
Greeny, sadly, it seems like Dabo this time is really done at Clemson. I mean, we have been writing them off for some time, but they've been hanging around. But they were up against the best kid on the block on Saturday, and they got manhandled. And there's nowhere to go for Dabo Swinney. He can complain about the criticism. He can say he's doing the right thing, but clearly he has screwed up badly, refusing to go into the portal.
Well, so let's be very clear on what he is doing, okay? So Clemson won the national championship in 2018. That's also the year that signifies the beginning of the transfer portal. Since then, 0% of their total starts have come from the transfer portal. So you're asking yourself, how does that compare? Well, how do you put that in perspective? In the country, 32% of all starts come from players who've transferred at least once. So America says 1 out of every 3 players is a transfer. Dabo says, I'm not doing it. Shannon Sharp had this to say about it over the weekend.
He's going to have an epiphany, which is a realization that if you don't get paid those, if you don't get the transfer portal, you ain't winning.
You got to win.
Coach K said, I don't do one and dones. No, that ain't me.
Right.
Until he started doing one and dones.
Yeah.
If you can't beat him, join him.
You ain't got no choice.
Dabo,
you ain't got no choice.
Get with the program.
You ain't got no choice.
You're not that good. You're not that good, buddy. You're not that good. If you think you just gonna get high school seniors and that's what you're gonna win with, bro, it's over.
Not gonna happen.
It is over.
So, for perspective, there are only 4 schools that took no, in the whole country, that took no transfers this offseason. Clemson and 3 service academies, right? Army, Navy, and Air Force, which, for obvious reasons, they're not going to have transfer contender, and he made them one. But now people are asking if the game has quite literally passed him by based on the rules of engagement. What's the answer to that?
The answer is the gap between Clemson and the best team in the country is exactly what the score indicated. So the answer is yes. Kirby Smart has found out the perfect remedy for how to use the transfer portal. You don't have to go Deion Sanders and get 41 players in there. But you do that if you're Lincoln Riley in your first year, Deion Sanders in your first or second year, and you want to shock your roster. Kirby Smart figured out how to use the portal, but also what Dabo wants. Get those high school players in, develop them, and have them in your roster being major contributors down the stretch. But yes, Kirby Smart said this. After the game, Kirby Smart said, you have to use the transfer portal. He wasn't saying that about Clemson. He was talking about his own program.
Right.
If you want to win, you got to do it.
But the context is what the context is. Joey Galloway, again, you live in this stuff every single day. That really is the question. And again, it's going to sound more disrespectful than we mean it, because we're not asking if he can't coach anymore. We're asking if the way he wants to go about running a program just can't work anymore. Joey, what's the answer to that?
Greeny, I'm glad you got me in here before you went to Paul, because Paul got his shovel out and he's ready to dig a grave. Here's what I'd like to say, Greeny, because I don't think we give Dabo the respect he deserves. There are 2 coaches that are coaching that have 2 national championships, only 2. If you look at the string of 10-win seasons he's had up until last season where he got to 9, we make it sound like Dabo has been terrible for years. Those 2 national championships weren't that long ago, Paul. And so when we talk about Dabo Swinney, all I'm saying is this. Can we act like this guy is one of the all-time greats? Because he is. And so they're not that far off. Hey, Paul, I know what you're about to do. So I wanted to get in here and just try to give a little positivity. Hey, look, you guys might as well call this Negative Monday, because I'm not used to this. I haven't been on this show. Come in, we're digging a grave for LSU. Now we're digging a grave for Dabo Swinney. All I'm saying is, if Dabo Swinney is a problem, he is a problem that about 120 schools would love to have right now. Because he has won national championships.
I hear you, Joey.
Games.
You're not
They're
wrong.
not terrible.
But
Georgia's going to make a lot of teams look like this year. Let me say that. Georgia's going to do this to a lot of teams.
I hear you, but Joey, I have to push back.
Go ahead.
He set a bar there by turning them into a perennial national contender, right? It was him and Nick Saban. I remember doing topics on this show. Has Dabo Swinney surpassed Nick Saban? And now, because he's choosing to run his program differently than literally every other coach in America, we're asking, can you win that way? That's what I'm asking you. What's the answer to that?
Okay, so we are absolutely going to find that out. What I am wondering is, how long are these other teams going to be able to keep up winning that way? Because there's a lot of checks going out here, Greeny, and a lot of people are not winning national championships. And so I'm wondering how long these other schools are going to be able to keep writing these checks and not winning national championships, 2 of which Dabo Swinney has won. Now, years ago, when we used to watch Alabama, Nick Saban used to complain about these fast-paced offenses, and it was like, man, I don't like it. I ain't going to do it. I think it's unhealthy. And then he figured out, hey, I better start doing that because everyone else is doing it. And he found a way to win. All I'm saying is, can we give Dabo some time, Paul? Before you dig this grave, can we give him some time? It ain't been bad for that long.
Well, it's been bad for long enough. 21, 22, 23. Where's your quarterback? Where are your wide receivers?
Who decides long enough? For a guy that has 2 national championships, who decides long enough?
But, Joey, I'm not firing him. I'm just asking the question is, can he be... No, I'm not firing him.
No, you're not firing him. Right. But the nice young lady to your right,
are you firing him?
I'm not firing him. I'm saying you got to get a quarterback like Deshaun Watson or Trevor Lawrence, or you're only going to score 3 points against the Georgias of the world.
Let's hear.
Hey, Paul, come on now.
Yeah, Mark, I'll get Marcus in, but let's hear Paul. We keep talking about what Paul is saying. Okay. Paul hasn't actually said anything yet. Paul, go.
Joey, I don't want to dig his grave because I think I've already done it a couple of years ago. But the point being, I want to give you one stat, and you can scream and holler or not.
Go ahead.
But you said all these other schools that want to hire Dabo Swinney. I'm going to cite one example that occurred last January. An opening occurred January 10th at the University of Alabama. Why is that important? Because it's one of the premier jobs in the country, and Dabo Swinney was not even given an interview. And by the way, for those who don't know, Dabo Swinney has a degree and played football and won a national championship at Alabama. My point here is that the top schools don't want anything to do with him for this reason. He will not bend. He can stay at Clemson for a long time, although I hear from Clemson fans they're frustrated too. They're not firing Dabo Swinney, but they're fed up with his stubbornness. And this is now about a 4 or 5 year old topic. And all he has to do is adjust, and that program can return to the top of the ACC. But as long as he is stubborn, they will not return to prominence.
Coach K recognized that the rules of engagement had changed, and he adapted. Nick Saban, as you pointed out, Joey, did that repeatedly. The question is, does Dabo have to do that in order to compete on a playing field where everyone else is doing it? I'm told Marcus has been listening and is dying to jump in. Marcus, go.
It ain't no question. He has to do it if he gonna win championships, because the teams that are doing it are winning championships. Those are the ones that are consistently having success right now. The top teams in the country, I'm sure transfer portal has been a big part of that program. I understand what Joey is saying. Joey, you fighting for coaching acumen. I know what you're saying about Dabo. I hear you clearly. You fighting for his acumen as a coach. We all believe that Dabo can coach, but Joey, you can coach them little third graders that can't tie their shoes and spit at the same time, and they gonna get beat to sleep by that young Pee-wee football team with them dudes that's gonna play really good in middle school and high school. This is about the players, bro. And I say this all the time. I've been saying this for years. Every great coach has 4 or 5 of them dudes' banners hanging up in them stadiums that was directly tied to what they were doing. For Dabo years ago, it was Trevor Lawrence. It was all of those draft picks. He don't have them no more, Joey. And we know the truth. If you don't have those, take your school, for example. If you don't have those guys, you not going to win national championships. I don't care how good your X's and O's are.
Okay, so
That's Ohio State, to be clear. Joey, final word. I'm running out of time.
We keep talking about all these schools like everybody's just winning national championships. You just came from the cemetery. You was just burying LSU. And so, look, all I'm saying is Georgia's on a roll. They figured it out. They didn't get to the playoff last year. They spent the same amount of money. They didn't get to the playoff. Ohio State spent a lot of money. They haven't won one in some years. All I'm saying is this. Give this man a chance to figure it out.
How much have you? How much have you?